Hello everyone! This week I'd like to talk about the idea that a sexuality can be flaunted. That someone can parade it around in a fashion that, defies the norms or whatever. Which is, a somewhat silly notion. One of the most cases where people get accused of flaunting their sexuality. This happens most often with the gay community. Because for things like Pride Parade and such. I know that sometimes when I've been talking with some of the more homophobic members of my family, always the discussion comes up regarding, oh, I'm okay with gay people, but if only they didn't flaunt it so much. And the conversation would get very awkward and stunted after that. But as far as asexuality is concerned, how can one be considered to flaunt their asexuality? A sexuality which for many people existing within the sphere of heteronormativity and so on, don't believe it even exists, or even don't know about it enough for it to exist. Well, let's consider that. Dude, oh my god, just because you're ace doesn't mean you have to eat cake all the time. Oh my god. But I like cake.
Dude, just because you're ace doesn't mean you have to be a unicorn all the time, dude.
Do I even know you? The ridiculous examples could continue, but I think I'd like to get to the core of what I'm saying, and that is that the idea of flaunting something, I believe it comes from the idea that someone has an excess of something or circumstances that are better or somehow improved than others, and they parade it around to show off. I believe that's where the idea that flaunting comes from. For example, when people flaunt their wealth by buying ridiculously expensive cars, and other people get jealous. As far as sexuality goes, though, it's really a strange concept that people flaunt their sexuality, to me at least, because it springs from the idea that sexuality is something that can be, determined by that person. So the person can choose that whether or not they express their sexuality, or whether or not their sexuality is, a certain way, which is inherently wrong because people don't usually choose their sexuality. Also, I think it comes from the idea that, when anyone exists, in the spectrum of that is outside the normal, anything seen as different gets sometimes seen as, predatory. Like a flock of birds seeing the tiger across the savannah or whatever. No, the tigers don't live in the savannah. Fact checking. But, people have sort of this mentality regarding anything that's different, and so when something is different and ideas are different, and sometimes the expression of such gets treated as, hostilely, and so people try to discredit that expression, and so they accuse it as flaunting. That's mostly my thoughts on that, but someday it would be interesting if anyone ever accused me of flaunting my asexuality. I'm not sure how I would react, but I think that part of me would be proud, while the rest of me confused, but that part of me that would be proud would be at least proud that in the face of so many things telling me that I shouldn't be this way, that I'm different, that I'm weird, I'm at least had the, the self-respect to be myself, regardless of what people who are, negative towards that kind of thing tell me to. See ya.